If you're feeling the frustration of running business as usual in a post-pandemic world, you're not alone. In this episode, I address the elephant in the room that is currently being ignored by most entrepreneurs. Tune in and learn the power of practicing observation without judgment, why many leaders aren't speaking up during these times, the impact that your values have on your leadership, why it feels frustrating to operate your business as usual during these times, and 5 tips to help you run your business with absolute alignment in today's world. You'll also receive a very special invitation to connect with like minded leaders. So stay tuned for that. Now, if you have yet to get your copy, go get your copy of my new book, Potent Leadership. It's officially available on Amazon. Just head to potentleadership.com to grab your copy or search for Potent Leadership on your Amazon app. Now, whether you are a loyal listener or you're brand new to this podcast, please take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. Every single download, every single rating, every single review helps get this podcast out to more leaders around the world. Now, it is time to learn how to lead your business in a post-pandemic world. Beyond the narrative, underneath the veil of illusion, and deep within your center, therein lies potent truth. Welcome to Potent Truth, where today's leaders, changemakers, and light carriers come together to question the narrative, arrive at potent truth, and lead with sovereignty. What is potency? It's who you are beneath the masks, facades, and protective gear. It's the medicine humanity yearns for, cries out for, prays for, and needs. Your potency is what sets you apart, magnetizes your following, and creates movements. Join me, Ruby Fremon, for weekly guidance, channeled messages, and potent conversations that will take you on a journey of self-discovery. I am here to guide you to a place of unraveling the programming that's been keeping us stuck for generations, unlocking potent truth and expressing it through sovereign leadership. It's time for change. It's time for potent truth. Hello, leaders and truth seekers, and welcome to another episode of Potent Truth. Whew, I got to tell you, I have been riding some waves. There is just a lot of energy shifting in the collective. And if you're here and you're listening to this, I can almost guarantee that you've been tapping into this as well. Now, in humanity right now, there are those who see nothing. There are those who see but say nothing. And there are those who see and say something. This episode is for those who see and say something, or even have been wanting to say something but don't know how. So again, the energy of the collective has been intense. It's like 2021 has just been this massive emotional roller coaster. And I'll be honest, like 2020 was a really phenomenal year for me. I had the biggest business ever in terms of business. I felt in complete alignment. I was living in optimal health and well-being, really taking care of myself, super devoted to my mind, body, and spirit. And around the end of 2020, I started to feel the intensity of the energies. And part of it was, yes, I was finishing up a book and I needed to take some real time off. So I came into 2021 with some level of uncertainty with my business because I decided to not enroll for my major group programs and just close off some aspects of my business so I could focus on getting the book out, but also focus on myself in a different way than I hadn't focused on in 2020 because the energies were shifting. There was an intense surge of I don't know how else to put it, but grief and sadness and depression in 2021. It's really just like I predicted last year when I said, we're going to go into 2021 and a lot of people are going to wake up because they're going to realize that things are not changing. And that's what's happening. And that's what we're all tapping into. We're tapping into the collective grief of things not shifting, of things not really getting better, of the agenda still rolling on, of families being torn apart due to differences of beliefs, of a lot of nasty shit that's taking place in our world today. And if you're like me, you've probably also been observing how other leaders and entrepreneurs have been showing up online. Now, I have been taking this as a practice for myself, a practice of just observation without judgment. And I'll admit it gets really hard sometimes, especially on those days when I'm feeling the intensity of the emotions. But when you're scrolling your feed and you see people posting as if our world is completely okay and nothing has changed, everything is quote unquote normal, and they're running their businesses as quote unquote usual, pretending like nothing happened, performing to keep up appearances. And I get how upsetting it can be to see this because I've let myself get upset by this. And especially when it's someone that I've looked up to, especially when it's a leader that I've really looked up to. And my practice has been observation without judgment, because in times like this, we need to drop into a more compassionate state. See, what's happening right now, what's being thrown at the collective right now is those in power are wanting us to divide. Those in power are wanting us to take sides, because when we are a broken collective, we are much easier to manipulate, to control, to take advantage of. And so they're trying to divide us. And through this divide, I don't care what side, I hate saying sides, but doesn't matter what side you're on. I'm seeing a lack of compassion on both ends from everyone. And this is what comes into play when you observe these leaders that you may have looked up to who are acting as if everything is normal in their lives and in their businesses. And I want you to drop into a moment of compassion with me right now. Just drop in. If you're not driving, then close your eyes. And I want you to just picture this. Picture being an entrepreneurial leader who has spent a lot of time, energy into building their business and building their movement and building their community. All of that energy, effort, time, the money that they've invested, all of it to build what they have now. And it's not that they don't know or see what's going on. There's a part of them that is either in unconscious denial of what's happening because they're scared themselves, or there's a part of them that's in conscious bypassing because, again, they're scared. They're scared of losing everything that they've invested their time, money, and energy into. They're scared for the state of the world. They're scared of how they're going to be able to pay their next mortgage payment or rent. They're just as scared. The fact is, I believe all humans right now are operating on some level of fear, whether they're conscious of it or not, because in today's world, it'd be pretty hard to not feel any fear at all for humanity. And I look at these leaders and I might have an immediate gut jerk reaction, but I allow myself to drop into that moment of compassion and understanding and knowing that they're there yet. They're not in that place that we are just yet. And, for us, for the ones who are like, well, I can't just not say anything. Like it's really hard to operate as if everything is normal. Like what you have to understand is some of us just can't. It doesn't align with our values, the core of who we be. Whether it's a value of integrity, of truth, of justice, of health, of freedom. What's happening in our world doesn't align with those values. And for me, I cannot not say anything. I just can't. And I also can't operate business as usual. I just can't. It doesn't feel aligned at all. It feels completely out of integrity with the state of the world. So I'm really grateful that I was brave enough to take all this time off and pretty much say goodbye to 75% of my income during this time to really just be with it all, to ride the waves of the collective and to just take this time to observe. Because I think it's really important that we as leaders take on that role of being the observer during these times, because being the observer will tell us so much more and offer us so much more insight than trying to pave the way all the time. We need to do both. We need to observe and then pave the way. So, with that being said, I want to talk about a question that I know is on so many of your minds because it's been on mine. And I've read a lot of, people in my online space, like their posts, and I've had DMs sent to me. And I know so many of you are feeling this and no one's fucking talking about it. So I want to fucking talk about this. How do we run our business in today's world? In this post-pandemic, tyrannical circus of a fucking world. How? Especially as the seers, especially as the ones who value integrity and truth and justice and health and freedom. How do we run our businesses in today's world? Well, I want to share with you 5 tips that have really helped me move through this and create clarity around how I get to now operate my business and lead my movement. So tip number 1 is to be honest with yourself and your community. So be real about what's going on in today's world. Don't try and wear a blindfold or bypass what's happening in order to save your image. Look at what's happening, stay informed, but don't get sucked in, and be real with yourself. Be real with your shares. Forget image, forget perception, forget your following count. Be brave enough to just show up as your realest self, as your most potent self. This is going to help you connect with your community. This is going to cultivate an even deeper connection with your community. And will you lose people along the way? For sure. I did. So I can say this with certainty, you will lose people along the way, but you will gain a more aligned community, a community who really values what you value. So be honest with yourself and your community during these times. Number 2 is rediscover the needs of your community. Just as your needs have most likely changed during this time, so have the needs of the people in your community. So, when we all first started our businesses, we took the time to create that, do all these exercises that business quote unquote experts tell you to do, create the avatar, understand the needs, do all these polls and questionnaires and all the things. Well, you have to understand that people's needs change. Just as your needs change, people's needs change, and people's needs have changed drastically over the last year and a half. I know you've observed this in yourself. So you need to take time to rediscover who is actually in your audience, who is part of your community, and what they need. So I don't mean doing this in a very cold way, like don't just send out a mass email saying, hey, fill out this survey. No, I want you to do this in an authentic way. Instagram stories is a great way to do this. One, it feels authentic because it is authentic, and two, it's like real time pulse check with your community. So you can do questions and polls in your stories. You can include them in every post, like put a call to action, a question, and ask your audience, ask your community, cultivate those connections. So rediscover the needs of your community. Number 3 is adapt and evolve your offers and services. So be willing to create change within your business. Right now, I'm seeing too many people stuck in their way trying to do the same rinse and repeat offers and services, and it's not working. And let me tell you, so many of the people that you see who are still doing their rinse and repeat business model, they are actually not doing as well as they used to. I have had many conversations with people. They're just not brave enough to shift. They're not there yet. They're not ready to adapt or evolve. You need to be willing to create change within your business because everything has changed. Adapt your offers to align with the current times. Shift your pricing to align with your community right now, and evolve your business and messaging to align with what you are feeling right now. So, so important. And the piece about pricing. Now, I am a firm believer in pricing your offers so they align with the experience that the client has. I'm a firm believer in that, and that your own experience plays a big role in this. I'm also not afraid to evolve, shift my pricing when people are actually suffering right now. If someone, for example, can't got fired from their job because the company was asking them to get the jab and they said no, like, okay, there's room there to wiggle, to meet them somewhere. If someone's, business has drastically been affected by what's going on, like we get to, as leaders, we get to show compassion. This doesn't mean lowering our worth. This means being of service. And you can shift your offers and your services to align with this new pricing as well. But only do this, the pricing piece is only if that is aligned with the needs of your community. But really, just don't be afraid to let your business evolve, to evolve it. Number 4, and this is huge, is to show up for yourself and show up for your community. And when I say show up for yourself, I mean daily. I don't know about you, but I talk about this a lot with my close inner circle, and we're all experiencing the same. It seems like we need more to fill our cups these days. And it's because we're being hit with so much energetically, so much movement in the collective, so many shifts, so much troubling news, And so we need a little bit more to fill our cups. And if you're trying to show up for your community with a cup that isn't full, this is when you start to show up in like your wounded state, in a state that is going to have you projecting at your community, talking at your community versus really connecting with them. So show up daily for yourself, be devoted to your rituals. If you don't have rituals, create some rituals. It doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be so extreme. It can be super simple. It can take as little as 10 minutes. Just do something for yourself every single fucking day. Show up for yourself. And when you're feeling the heaviness of it all, take care of yourself. And then show up with a full cup for your community. And then number 5, and this has been a game changer for me personally, is to connect with like-minded leaders for support. Now, it is possible that during this time, during this past year and a half, the people in your inner circle have kind of dropped off, or you've uncovered that they value different things than you. So this is the time for you to drop the performers from your inner circle and start surrounding yourself with leaders who value the same as you. Leaders that you feel seen and understood and heard by. Find an environment that truly fosters real connection and encourages honest conversations so you feel supported and seen. This is so, so important. And I know so many of you are craving this. I know I've been. So if you are listening and you're really ready to step into an environment like this, reach out. I'm putting together an intimate group of potent leaders who are ready to lead with integrity in a world that is greatly lacking integrity right now. Potent Leaders is a 4-month coaching, mentorship, and community hybrid experience for leaders to connect, collaborate, and gain the support they need to lead their business with absolute alignment. This is a space for you to lean in, receive support, and engage in honest conversations without the fear of being canceled, censored, or shamed. So if this calls to you, if you're ready, if you want to step into this incredible, supportive environment of like-minded leaders, send an email with the subject line Potent Leaders to ruby@rubyfremon.com. That's Ruby, RUBY, at rubyfremon.com, RUBYFREMON. And I will send you the information for that container. Now, Potent Leaders is a 4-month journey with limited seats. You know me, I love to keep things super intimate. And it all kicks off in September, which is coming up soon. So email me today for more information. Remember, you get to lead your business your way. Everyone who's claiming to be an expert in business strategy right now, what you need to understand is that the strategies that they once provided probably don't work in today's world. Things are shifting. So what's most important is for you to adapt and evolve. Be brave enough to adapt and evolve. And take this time to reconnect with your community and foster real connections, genuine connections with them. And if you're ready to join an intimate community of like-minded leaders for support, connection, and collaboration, reach out, send an email to ruby@rubyfremon.com with the subject line Potent Leaders. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Potent Truth, where I'm taking you on a journey to challenge illusion and lead with sovereignty. If you're ready to lead your business with integrity and want to surround yourself with like-minded leaders during this massive, massive shift in humanity, send me an email to learn more about my newest group mentorship opportunity, Potent Leaders. Email ruby@rubyfremon.com with the subject line Potent Leaders today. Please note, this is a paid membership opportunity and it has a limited number of seats, and we start in September. Email me today if you're ready. And if you have yet to grab your copy of my book, Potent Leadership, head to potentleadership.com and grab your copy today. Be sure to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. The downloads, the ratings, the reviews, all of this helps get this podcast out to more leaders around the world. And if you want to connect with me on social media, my handle is @IamRuby, and I frequent Instagram and Twitter. Thank you so much for your support with the book. To everyone who's already purchased the book, read the book, shared the book, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please remember to share photos of you with the book and be sure to tag me at I am Ruby and use the hashtag Potent Leadership for a chance to get featured. And finally, make sure you check back on Monday for a brand new episode of Potent Truth. Aho, leaders.